Ah, welcome back. Settle into the encroaching shadows. Let the sounds of the landlocked world fade into insignificance. Tonight, here on the Somber Scroll, we cast ourselves adrift, far from the familiar shores, into the vast, indifferent expanse that covers most of our world. We speak of the ocean, a place of breathtaking beauty, yes, but also of crushing pressure, abyssal darkness, and secrets far older and stranger than humanity itself. Tonight's exploration isn't about sunken cities or mythical krakens necessarily. It's drawn from the chilling whispers, the fragmented radio calls, the wide-eyed testimonies of those who have ventured out onto the blue void and encountered something wrong. These are tales often dismissed, lost in the waves, but they linger. Tonight, we delve into what we'll call true, scary ocean horror stories. And the specific account we'll submerge ourselves in, let's call it the lure of the abyss. The ocean's horrors are manifold. There's the raw, indifferent power of nature. Storms that dwarf ships, waves like moving mountains, the biting cold that leeches life away. There's the terror of isolation, the realization of being a tiny speck in an immeasurable emptiness. There's the fear of what lies beneath, the known predators, the shark, the barracuda, and the chilling possibility of the unknown. Creatures sculpted by pressure and darkness into forms alien and terrifying. But perhaps the most insidious horror the ocean offers is psychological. The vastness can unravel the mind. The constant motion, the disorienting lack of landmarks, the tricks light and water play, they can erode sanity, blurring the line between reality and hallucination. Our story tonight braids these threads together: the physical peril, the monstrous unknown, and the terrifying fragility of the human mind adrift on the abyss. This account is pieced together from recovered logs, scattered distress calls, and the fragmented, trauma-laced testimony of a sole survivor. It concerns the small, specialized research vessel, Nereus, and its 4-person crew, who vanished without a trace in the South Pacific 3 years ago, far from standard shipping lanes, over an unusually deep and unexplored trench known simply as the Cerulean Void. The crew consisted of Dr. Eris Talbot, lead oceanographer and expedition head. Brilliant, driven, perhaps bordering on obsessive. He had secured funding to investigate anomalous magnetic readings and unusually structured deep-sea sound patterns detected by satellites over the void. Maya Sharma, marine biologist and Talbot's former student. Sharp, cautious, dedicated to science, but grounded in observable reality. She was there to study potential extremophile life forms adapted to the trench's unique conditions. Finn O'Connell, the vessel's captain and engineer, A seasoned mariner, taciturn, deeply practical, he respected the ocean's power and distrusted anything that couldn't be explained by weather charts or engine diagnostics. William Bellwether. Young technician and documentarian, enthusiastic, tech-savvy, responsible for managing the deep-sea probe, sensors, and filming the expedition. The newest member of the crew, eager to prove himself. The Nereus wasn't a large ship, but she was well-equipped for deep-sea research. Advanced sonar, a reinforced hull, satellite comms, environmental sensors, and a state-of-the-art, remotely operated vehicle, ROV, affectionately nicknamed Orpheus, capable of descending thousands of meters. They reached the coordinates above the Cerulean void after a week's sailing. The initial days were marked by routine and anticipation. Deploying sensor arrays, taking readings, cataloging surface life. The ocean here was unusually calm. The water a startling, almost unnatural shade of deep blue-black. The sky was vast and empty. They were utterly alone. Radio contact with their onshore base confirmed clear weather patterns, but noted the intermittent satellite interference common near deep trenches. The first hint that something was amiss came from Dr. Talbot's acoustic sensors. The strange sound patterns he was investigating began to intensify. They weren't random noise. They had structure. Complex, repeating sequences, almost melodic, but in frequencies mostly below the range of human hearing. Sonar picked them up as powerful, localized pulses, originating from the trench floor, nearly 7 miles down. Incredible, Talbot murmured, eyes glued to the oscillating graphs. The energy output is phenomenal, far beyond any known geothermal or biological source at this depth. Maya leaned closer. The structure, it's almost mathematical, like a code, but impossibly complex. Finn at the helm just grunted. Lot of strange noise comes out of the deep. Pressure does weird things down there. Liam, filming their reactions, felt a strange prickle of unease. The sounds, even filtered and visualized on screen, felt intentional. Over the next 48 hours, the phenomena escalated. Sonar began registering intermittent contacts deep below the Nereus. Massive objects, moving at incredible speeds, far faster than any known submarine or whale. They would appear suddenly, directly beneath the ship, linger for moments, then vanish from the screens as if they'd never been there, leaving behind only bewildered technicians and baffling data streams. Must be sensor ghosts, Liam suggested, trying to rationalize the impossible readings. Maybe temperature layers or salinity differences creating false echoes? At that depth, moving that fast? Maya countered, her brow furrowed. The pressure differential alone, it doesn't make sense. Talbot, however, seemed energized, almost ecstatic. Or, he posited, a manic gleam in his eyes, We're detecting something entirely new. A previously unknown form of deep-sea life. Or perhaps something else. Then came the lights. Late, one moonless night, Liam was on deck checking equipment when he noticed it. Faint, ethereal glows shimmering deep beneath the waves. Bioluminescence, certainly, but unlike anything he'd ever seen documented. Not the usual scattered sparks of plankton, but large, shifting patterns of cool blue and green light, pulsing rhythmically, deep, deep down. They seemed to mirror the complex acoustic signals Talbot was tracking. He called the others. They watched, mesmerized and unnerved, as the lights swirled and coalesced in the abyssal darkness below, sometimes seeming to pulse in direct response to the Nereus's own running lights or sonar pings. "It's beautiful," Maya breathed, "but deeply strange. Bioluminescence is usually for attracting prey, mating, or defense. This seems communicative." "Or territorial," Finn muttered darkly, scanning the empty horizon. "Maybe it doesn't like us sitting on its roof." The psychological effects began subtly. Crew members reported vivid, disturbing dreams, filled with crushing pressure, endless darkness, and echoing, non-human whispers. Liam, in particular, complained of hearing faint singing or chanting just below the range of audibility, especially when monitoring the hydrophones. He'd rip off his headphones, convinced something was bleeding through the equipment, only to find silence. Their satellite communications became increasingly unreliable, plagued by bursts of intense static that often coincided with the strongest acoustic pulses from the trench. Navigation systems flickered, GPS coordinates becoming momentarily unreliable. They were becoming electronically as well as physically isolated. Finn grew increasingly agitated. "This is wrong, Aris," he argued one evening, charts spread across the mess table. "The readings are nuts, comms are shot, and the barometer's dropping like a stone. There's a storm brewing, a bad one, not forecasted. We need to pull the arrays and get clear of the trench while we still can." Talbot waved him off dismissively. "Nonsense, Finn. The magnetic anomalies could be affecting the instruments, and we're on the cusp of a major discovery. These signals, the lights, they're intensifying, responding to us. We can't leave now." His eyes had a feverish quality. He seemed less like a scientist observing phenomena, and more like a man answering a call. Maya hesitated, torn between Finn's maritime caution and Talbot's scientific fervor. "Eris, the energy signatures are unprecedented. But Finn's right about the weather, and the sonar contacts are deeply concerning. Maybe we should pull back, analyze the data, and return with a larger vessel?" "No." Talbot slammed his hand on the table, making them jump. "Orpheus is ready. We send the ROV down. We get visual confirmation. This could change everything we know about life on this planet." His obsession had overridden his caution. He seemed lured. As Finn predicted, the storm hit them with terrifying speed and ferocity. The sky, turned a bruised purple-black. Wind screamed through the rigging. Mountainous waves crashed over the decks, tossing the Nereus like a toy. Rain lashed down, reducing visibility to near zero. They were trapped directly over the Cerulean void, unable to run, forced to ride it out. Inside the violently pitching vessel, Talbot insisted on deploying Orpheus. "Are you insane?" Finn roared over the storm's howl, fighting the wheel. "The cable could snap. We could lose the ROV. The ship needs all power for propulsion and bilge pumps." "The storm offers cover," Talbot yelled back, his face illuminated by the flickering emergency lights. "Whatever is down there might be less wary. This is our chance. Liam, prepare the deployment." Liam, looking terrified but unwilling to disobey the expedition leader, scrambled to the ROV control station. Maya watched, her face pale with fear, clutching a console for support as the ship groaned under the assault of the waves. Orpheus, a marvel of deep-sea engineering, equipped with powerful lights, high-definition cameras, manipulator arms, and sensors, was lowered precariously through the churning water. Liam guided it down, meter by agonizing meter, into the crushing blackness of the trench. The storm raged above, but on the monitors, showing Orpheus's descent, there was only serene, absolute darkness, punctuated by the ROV's own lights cutting futilely into the void. Thousands of meters down, the pressure outside the ROV was immense, capable of crumpling steel like paper. The acoustic signals from the trench floor were now deafeningly loud on the hydrophones. A complex, overwhelming symphony of clicks, pulses, and deep, resonant tones. "Approaching target depth," Liam reported, his voice tight, switching main lights on. On the main screen, the powerful beams of Orpheus stabbed into the abyss. The seabed, when it came into view, was wrong, not barren rock and ooze, but strange, geometric formations of smooth, black, non-reflective material, arranged in patterns that seemed disturbingly unnatural. And everywhere, embedded in this alien landscape, were sources of intense bioluminescence, pulsing in time with the acoustic signals. "Incredible," Talbot breathed, leaning so close to the screen his breath fogged it. "It's architecture, but like nothing on Earth." Maya stared, horrified. "Eris, this isn't natural. Look at the geometry." Suddenly, Orpheus's camera feed tilted wildly. Alarms blared. "Losing stability," Liam shouted. "Currents are too strong." "No, it's not currents. Something's got the tether." The camera spun, showing only darkness, then a brief, terrifying glimpse of something immense and pale, moving just beyond the lights. Vast, smooth, curving surfaces, utterly featureless. Then, a flash of blinding blue-white light erupted directly in front of the camera. The video feed dissolved into screaming static. "Orpheus, signal lost," Liam cried, frantically working the controls. "Tether tension is off the scale. It's pulling." The ship groaned, listing dangerously as the immense strain on the ROV tether threatened to capsize them. "Cut the cable, Finn, now!" Maya screamed. Finn, his face grim, didn't hesitate. He slammed his fist onto the emergency release button. A heavy thunk resonated through the hull. The tension vanished. The Nereus snapped violently back upright, water cascading across the bridge viewports. Orpheus was gone, sacrificed to the abyss. Stared at the static-filled screen where moments before the impossible had flickered. Talbot looked utterly broken, his obsession shattered, replaced by dawning horror. What was that? He whispered. Before anyone could answer, a new sound joined the storm's roar. A low, resonant hum, vibrating up through the hull itself. The bioluminescent glow outside, previously confined to the depths, now seemed to be rising. The churning water around the Nereus began to shimmer with an eerie blue-green light. "It's surfacing," Maya stammered, backing away from the viewport. "Or they are." The rhythmic acoustic pulses intensified, no longer just sounds picked up by hydrophones, but physical vibrations shaking the ship. And the whispers. Liam clutched his head, eyes wide with terror. "They're loud now, singing inside my head." Even Finn, gripping the helm, looked shaken. "I hear 'em too, kid. Like sirens." The glow outside intensified, bathing the storm-lashed vessel in an otherworldly light. Strange, shifting patterns flickered on the waves, mirroring the geometry seen on the trench floor. The very air on the bridge grew thick, heavy, charged with an energy that made their hair stand on end. Talbot stumbled towards the main console, his face a mask of terror and a strange, conflicting awe. "The signal. It's not just sound. It's bioelectric, psychically resonant. It's calling." Then, the main viewport directly in front of the helm exploded inward in a shower of reinforced glass and freezing seawater. The shriek of the wind was momentarily drowned out by a deafening, high-pitched whine that pierced their skulls. Through the shattered opening, framed against the swirling chaos of the storm and the pulsating bioluminescence, they saw it. Or rather, they glimpsed parts of it. Impossible to perceive its full form. Vast, shifting plains of iridescent, membranous material, glowing with internal light. Countless tendrils, thinner than hair, but strong as steel cables, whipping through the air, emitting the skull-splitting whine. And in the center, buried deep within the shifting, luminous mass, a single, immense eye, or something like an eye. A vortex of pure blackness, surrounded by a corona of blinding blue light, radiating palpable intelligence and utter alien indifference. It wasn't just a creature. It was a presence. An entity from the crushing pressures and eternal darkness, drawn up by their probing, lured by their signals, or perhaps luring them all along. Finn reacted instantly, shoving the throttles forward, trying to steer the damaged vessel away. But the Nereus felt sluggish, held fast by an unseen force. Tendrils, lashed through the broken viewport, striking consoles, sending sparks flying. One whipped towards Liam, who screamed, stumbling back. Talbot, however, stood frozen, staring at the impossible entity, his face alight with horrified understanding. "It wasn't a signal to us," he choked out. "It was a signal through us. A lure for—" He never finished the sentence. A shimmering tendril, faster than sight, enveloped him. He didn't scream. His eyes widened in sudden, terrifying comprehension, then went blank. The tendril retracted, pulling his limp body out through the shattered viewport into the luminous chaos outside. He vanished into the light. Maya screamed, grabbing a fire extinguisher and spraying wildly at the invasive tendrils. Finn wrestled with the helm, dodging the lashing appendages. Liam, recovering his senses, grabbed a heavy wrench, smashing wildly at a tendril near him. It retracted with a hiss, leaving a scorch mark on the deck plating. "We have to get out of the light," Maya yelled over the din. "It's drawn to the ship's energy. Kill the main power." Finn understood. It was madness, cutting power in a storm, but it was their only chance. He lunged for the main breaker panel, shielding his face as another tendril lashed past. He slammed his hand down on the main cutoff switch. The ship plunged into darkness. Emergency lights flickered weakly, then died. The engine noise ceased. The remaining console screens went black. The only illumination came from the terrifying, pulsating bioluminescence outside the ship. For a moment, everything went eerily silent, save for the howl of the wind and waves. The high-pitched whine faltered. The tendrils paused, hovering. The immense eye seemed to pulse, surveying the now dark vessel. Then, slowly, agonizingly, the light began to recede. The entity, perhaps losing interest in the powerless ship, or unable to sustain its form, away from the deep-sea energies it commanded, began to sink back beneath the waves. The tendrils withdrew. The crushing presence lessened. The water outside gradually returned to its natural, stormy blackness. Maya, Finn, and Liam huddled together in the dark, powerless bridge, listening to the storm rage around their dead ship. The silence left by the entity almost as terrifying as its presence. They were adrift, damaged, leaderless, haunted by what they had witnessed and the loss of Talbot. The storm eventually blew itself out, leaving the Nereus crippled and adrift under a bruised dawn sky. Their main power was gone, comms destroyed beyond repair, navigation systems useless. They were thousands of miles from shipping lanes, lost in the vast, indifferent Pacific. What happened next is unclear. Fragmented distress calls, picked up weeks later by a passing freighter, spoke of dwindling supplies, jury-rigged repairs, and the lingering psychological terror. The final garbled message, attributed to Finn O'Connell, spoke of shapes in the water, following them, of Liam not being right since the encounter, humming the same complex melodies the entity had pulsed, his eyes reflecting the abyssal light. The message cut off abruptly. The Nereus was never found. No wreckage, no debris, no trace of Maya, Finn, or Liam. They, like Dr. Talbot, were claimed by the Cerulean void. Was it a mass hallucination brought on by isolation, strange magnetic fields, and infrasound? Was it an undiscovered, colossal deep-sea organism defending its territory? Or was it something older, stranger, an intelligence born of pressure and darkness, whose very thoughts are lures, whose presence unravels reality? The ocean guards its secrets jealously. It is a realm of profound beauty and terrifying power, an abyss that reflects our deepest fears. Those who sail upon it place their trust in fragile hulls and fallible technology, floating above mysteries they can barely comprehend. And sometimes the abyss stares back. Sometimes it lures you in. Sometimes the true horror isn't just what you find in the deep, but what the deep finds in you.